Hello and welcome back to the third video of this UiPath RPA project. And if you want to learn UiPath from scratch and want to become a developer, this is the right playlist for you. And link of all the videos in this playlist is available in the description. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos on UiPath automation and different automation. And go to the complete video to understand in detail. In this video, we are going to see that how can we extract URL from a web page for an image. We will also see that how can we use dynamic selectors. We can pass the variables, we can modify the selectors to our use, and then we can define some arguments also to pass the information from different workflows to this workflow, or from this workflow to another UiPath automation workflow. All right, so let's get started. So before we go ahead in the next step, what we have to do is next one more thing we require. When we will create any PDF or any email body, we will require an image. So what we have to do is, with these details which we have extracted, I have minimized all of these details like this. You can also change the view. So all ratings, up to ratings we have got. Now we need the URL. So the URL of this image, let's right click this, open, inspect. Right click again, open, inspect, until you don't see the exact img. So you see the images here. In this image, the attribute is src. So again, what we can do is we can use get attribute activity to get this link. All right, so let me just show you how can we do that. Here, before log message, we will use get attribute. All right, and in get attribute, what we will do is we will indicate this image, and as we have been doing that, after confirm, we will check our selectors. I don't want, I will check this fuzzy selector. Again, the same problem you can see, like this name, AA name is coming here, right? And tag is img. So I think this tag we will require because we don't have many images here. But this class is looking like it might change anytime. Is a random generated value. Okay. So let's open this in the full editor and let's try to get the, and let's go to the UI Explorer. So UI Explorer can be opened from here also. My window is already open, so I will not be opening it again. And go to that page, indicate any car, and you see like this AA name will change all the time. This tag will remain same. So if we remove this name, let's see what will happen. If I use this selector, it might work for Swift, but it will not work for Maruti Phoenix. But if you see like this title or this AA name is same as name is written here. And if you remember, in this activity, I will just go back, get title. We are getting same text, right? So what we can do is that we can use the output of this car title. If you just see the window last time when we have run this, the car title inside this selector just to make it. And as we all know, like, I will try here, we don't need index because we are getting the exact selector. So I will just highlight it, and then what I will do is I will manually highlight it again. Yes, it is going right. So what I will do now is I will take this name manually just for testing purpose, this much. I will change in this selector, paste, validate. It is not working. The reason why it is not working is this. So we will just do star here, and then similar to our all selectors in other element we have done in our previous part of this video. Here you see the Maruti Pronix, but here if you see Maruti Suzuki Pronix, what we can do is, if you see in all the brand, the first name of the brand is coming. So what we will do, we will create. So I can just take this part and I can break this part, because this car title will give us this value, and if we break this value using a space, pick the first part of that, I think it will work. But just just for your understanding, what I want is I want this name, only this Maruti name, to coming from some other workflow, so that you can understand how will you flow the information from one workflow to another workflow. So I will just put a star. Image tag will be common for each car, if you see here. And then now IDX that we have been using, and we already have a variable for that. I will use one here, validate, highlight. It is indicating on first one. Now I will change this date, highlight. It is going second one. But now let me change the page. It will not work on Mahindra because here it is Maruti. But when we will come to Mahindra, we are already fetching the brand name. So I will go to our first workflow for each brand, and in for each brand, we were getting this attribute. So I will just rename these attributes. Brand text we were getting here. Here we were getting URL. Correct. I will show you. Open and show. Remember using this inner text and getting the value, and using this href getter attribute and getting the brand URL. So both of these values we will use here in this workflow. But now point is how we will bring that information to this workflow, right? So you remember I said like that we will call a workflow here, and then we will pass the values. So now that is the time. What we will do is to take the value. First of all, I will go here, okay, and I have to pass like which attribute I need. So attribute that is required, inspect again, is src, because we need this link for our future, our next step. So I need src, src attribute name in html, and then I want to save it to car img url, right? I want to print this value src car link, src car image url. Okay, now save. Still the selector is not done. I will change the label of this first of all. get attribute. Here it will come car ing URL. Like that, we give the name so that when error is coming, we are able to reach here directly. Let's go back to the selector part once again. So fuzzy selector, anyways, I am not using. So here we were planning the selector. So Maruti Suzuki is not working. The reason is that number one, so this we are already using in all of our other elements, car, star, and then I will, because this is the dynamic part, not a stable part, so I will change it. Now we are on the page of Mahindra, sorry, Tata. So if I use Tata here instead of Maruti, will it work? Yes, it is working. So our selector is stable, that img tag idx, and if I highlight, it should go to image 2. So it is highlighting down where image 2 is available. So let me highlight it again. Okay. So our selector will work fine if we are able to get T, Tata, Mahindra, or all those first names. So what I will do is I will take this entire value. This part, you know why we have changed. I have already explained, and I will just see in the window selector first. So this part is not required in the window selector. Only the first part is required. Either if you want, you can modify there itself, but any changing value should not be there. Okay, hope you got it. If you have any question, just comment with the timing. I will try to answer. Now just to remove this red sign, I come here, highlight, minimize our explorer. The other part that is there, we have to use into strict selector. Okay, now in strict selector, this will be a variable because it will change page wise, brand wise, and it will change. This variable we already have. As I will select this, right click to use the variable in UiPath, and I will use counter, confirm. Okay, car counter is our variable. Now we have to deal with this. How to get it? So we are using Maruti. So here also we can use the same first name when we will extract it. Okay, so now let's try to extract it, as I need that first name before this, and that first name will remain same, right, for entire while loop, because while loop we perform for same brand different cars, right? So what we can do is we can just go here. First of all, we need that information from other workflow, so we need one input argument in brand name. So the value will come from somewhere else, or when we will call this workflow inside this. Okay, so what I will do is I will take assign, and I will create a variable. Control K is the shortcut or in UiPath. First brand, brand first name, and then how we will get the value. So let's check. Maruti Suzuki, Tata, right, Mahindra. So these are the first values when we are printing the title. All right. So you have already seen, if you will go back, that we have printed the title. So Tata cars, Maruti Suzuki cars, Mahindra cars, it was coming like this. So what we will do is this, whatever value will come into our argument, we will first split that, and we will split that by space. Here it goes, and then we will pick the first item. So whenever you break a string by any character, the it will be broken into a collection or list, if you want to pick the first item, it will start from 0. All right, so like this, brand first name. So in this selector also we can use same brand first name, because whenever the brand name is coming from this side or from this page, it will go inside. So brand name will remain same. I hope you are able to get what I am saying. If you have any question, comment with timing. Right, I will go back to the extract details right here. So this is assign, and now this is our first use of name. So I will go to selector. We are using strip selector. This Maruti I will use change with right click, use a variable here, first brand name, confirm. Will not work because now these are variables. Click OK. Same thing we will do in our SRC. Right, here is the SRC. So in SRC selector also I have to go to strip selector. Yeah, so it is here, variable first name, confirm. Click OK. Okay, just for testing, we have already added this car image URL into our log message. Let's just check. It is there. Let's try to run it. So right now there is no value in the argument in brand name. So what I will do is I will give data first. Now just let's test it. So it will give error because it is opening Maruti Suzuki page and we are trying to get the value for Tata. So which means that this part also should be changed, right? This URL also should be changed, else it can create problem into our solution. So now how we will get this URL part? So let's go back again to our workflow, previous workflow, and here we are getting two values, URL. So URL also had some value, right? This value also, let me just run this part once again so that we can connect, and this part will work on this brand page. So two samples are run. I think that much is sufficient. I will stop it. Let's check the output. So if you see two parts we are getting, one is the brand name that we are going to use for our selectors, we have just seen. Second one is the URL. So if you see this URL is coming and we are assigning that URL to this variable. So now this URL also we can take that side or we can take to that workflow. But how this URL will come? That we have to create another argument in brand URL. Let's call it brand URL. So in my output, what I want to do is I want to test it for Tata. So this much is the URL for Tata. So I will copy Tata cars here. And what I will do is I will assign just for the evaluation purpose, because right now we are not integrating any workflow with any workflow. So Tata plus URL of Tata. Both should be there. Right. So this entire value is coming in the variable in this manner. You will see here. starting from here to here, and this is the brand, right? So brand we are using into our selectors, and this URL is required into our window selector. So now we will replace this value here. This much will be replaced by argument in brand URL. For now, I have passed these values for testing. The Tata URL will be there and Tata title will be there, so that selector for this will be taken, selector for image will be taken. Let's test this once again. So our flow is running. There seems to be some error, otherwise it should not take that much of time. You know why it is not working? So if you see here TA, and if we actually see this is caps T, so that I have to change because it should be exactly matching with the selector. Let's try it now. Alright, so successfully completed. Great. So we are able to get the link also. That was our target. And now we are using our arguments values from here, which we have passed default values for testing. And by that we are able to, now let's test this once again on some other car. So I will use this time Toyota. Okay, I will change because this value will change when our solution will call for each brand, this value will change. So Toyota, here what is the URL for Toyota? Toyota cars. YOTA. I am explaining same thing again and again because I think few of you might not be well versed with programming also. So now this argument will be used here and others will be used in selectors. So let me test it. So remember that sometimes this text might not be loaded. So you don't have to worry about that. When it will happen in production, orchestrator will automatically retry and that time that page might be loaded. Alright, so our bot is running. Whenever you see this green sign, which means our bot is running. Let's go to execution is completed. Let's go and check. So you can see that all urban cruiser and all the titles are extracted by bot. Okay, so you can have a look here. Price, urban cruiser, Icora exciter. So all are brands available. High cross. Okay, so this is extracting our values perfectly. Now we are done. We have set everything and everything is dynamic. Come back, look back in our video. We have discussed that we will call one workflow here. Now that is the time. So go to this. Once here we are clicking on the brand item, then this action will happen. How to use workflow in UiPath or how to use another workflow inside one workflow. So it is the same concept as you have seen in programming languages that we use class and function to call the function of other classes, right? So I will take UiPath invoke workflow file activity. Inside invoke workflow file, when you will click, UiPath will show you all the workflows that you have. So we are already inside for each. Now here we have to extract this, extract details, and it will automatically import all the required arguments, but you have to assign value to those arguments. So argument values there should be the variable values here. So brand name and brand URL is the local variable of for each brand workflow. Right? Now what we have to do is we have to import arguments. We have to assign value. So in brand name, so this IN brand name and IN URL are declared where in extract, but these values are generated here. Now we have to pass these values here. So the first is brand name, second is brand URL. Save, save. If you remember that in that we have been going to each elements, which means we will be going on this page, we will be going to each of the brand. But right now we are just learning, so let's go to 3 or 4 brands. Okay, so what I will do is I will just go to property of for each UI element. So it is a iterative UI activity. So I will set a limit of the execution. I will set max limit and I will select number 4. So it will go up to 4 brands, right? Save it, come here. So now if I will call this, if I will run this, it will automatically call and automatically run this workflow file. Okay, hope you got. So I'll let me just run this from here once for testing purpose. I will close all URLs. So this for each brand is the parent flow and extract will be acting as a child flow. Alright, so let's run it from here. So it will go this side. So URL is opened. Bot is working now. Going on the first page. If you want, you can put a page down activity. So you will be able to see all these cars. So right now it is working on its own. Now it should be able to complete the extraction of 3 cars and then move to the next one, Tata. So after extracting Tata, it should move to next item, Mahindra. Then Toyota. It is the 4th one, so it should be the last one, but let's see. So execution is completed so far. So you see here logs. Let's maximize this part. So all 4 cars of Maruti, Maruti Fronex, Maruti Shift, Maruti Breezer. Then next our Tata Punch, Tata Car, Tata Nexon, Tata CRU EV. Okay, electric vehicle. And if you see here Mahindra, different cars, different values, and finally Toyota. So our solution is working fine. Now I want to go and, you remember I said like we have to integrate everything inside main. So we have run and we have tested. Now it's time to integrate. Before that, I want to clarify that when you are using default values just at the development time for that particular workflow, when you are assigning default values to the arguments, those values will be overridden when you will call that workflow inside any other workflow. So these are the default values for test. And the original values will be considered, which will come when you are invoking this. So here you are basically invoking this. Okay, you will have this workflow file with you, so don't worry, you will have all the things. Right? So these values will be overridden by these values which are coming from for each brand workflow. So don't worry about that. If you want, you can delete. All right. Now I will go to main. What I want to do is I want to create another sequence, that is, and this sequence later I want to use for folder setup. That I will explain how to create folder, how to check folder, how to create a new file when file is not existing. Before that, what I want to do is that I want to run all of these workflows from here. So if I trigger this workflow for each brand, and for each brand will trigger another workflow extract details, so which means entire path will be connected as expected. So what I want to do here, we don't have to, there is no argument right into this one, no argument which is expected or no input value is expected. We just have to call this. So what I will do is I will again take workflow file. I will select file for each brand. There is no argument, so if you will click import argument, nothing will happen. Save it. Now we can debug it. So the difference between debug is, so difference between run the file, it will run the particular workflow. Debug the file, it will run the entire solution in the debug mode. Run, it will just run your solution. So first let's debug it and see that how it reacts. So if I just click on debug, and left hand side you keep your focus. So these values will come here, and if you want, you can slow the speed also if you want to slow the steps one by one. So the execution has started. If you want, you can enable slow steps. You can watch the execution here. So it will now go to the next brand. That should be Mahindra. And I am running this in the debug mode now. So it is working as expected so far. Now it should move to the next brand in a few seconds. That is Toyota. And it should be the last one as we have the limit to 4. So execution completed successfully, which means our flow is set so far.